Well, good evening, everybody. So happy you joined me here on this thrilling Thursday. Yes, this is Charmaine Miller, Proactive Skill Developers CEO and founder, where we help educators work harder on themselves than they do on their jobs. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's the way we like it. Working harder on making ourselves better so we can be better in the classrooms and, of course, make an even more impactful change in our country. Well, the last time we were here, I asked you all a question. I asked you all, how you feeling? How you doing? Hey, Lady Frederick, I am glad to see you here. Listen, I asked a lot of teachers this last time, and here's what they said: tired, overwhelmed, fatigued. And you know what? That's kind of right about what people will be feeling around this time. Yeah, pretty much that's on on key. And so I'm asking you again, how are you feeling? How are you doing? You know, sometimes we go through life and not a lot of people are asking us how we're doing. You know, we're always the one asking the children, asking our students how they're doing. But I'm asking you now to evaluate really and truly, how are you feeling? How are you doing during this time when a lot of things kind of get pushed at us, a lot of things back and forth? Well, you know, I was marking one of my students. Well, yeah, one of my students work for UB as a class. I've taught them with them, and in the project, they had to perform a monologue of their choice. And this particular student decided she was going to talk about being tired. Listen to me. She made me tired just watching her show us how tired she was. I mean, she was like, I'm tired of doing this. And it's so interesting how we're impacted by the way other people speak and how they act. And just watching her, mind you, she was only acting. Probably she was probably doing the truth. Maybe she was tired. That's probably why it was so, riveting for me. And I was so drained watching her, and I'm like, you know what? Tired is a serious thing, you know? It's a serious thing. So I found myself even feeling that fatigue, and I'm not in the classroom with the kinds of students you all are dealing with, even virtually, where, you know, they're tugging on you. I'm listening to my own daughter, 9 years old, and I can't imagine how her teacher's staying calm because, you know, everyone's calling her name, and you're trying to maneuver in this virtual environment, and it's taxing. I didn't even have that, but I started to feel overwhelmed. I started to feel fatigue. I started finding myself going slower. Anyone had that happen to them this week or past couple of weeks, where you pick up the same book and you realize you are still marking the same book, and it's half an hour later, and it's an hour later. Sometimes you put it down and you come back, it's another day, and you're still on that same book. That's where I was. I found myself going slow, very slow. And so I'm like, okay, Charmaine, what are you going to do differently? You got to do something different. So I had to speak to myself. I had to say, just stay calm. You're going to finish strong. Stay calm. You're going to finish strong. And I had to tell myself, you know what? There'll be no excuses. There'll be no excuses. I will finish this year strong. I don't know if anyone has ever said, in fact, you all say it, and maybe even put it in the chat. I will finish this year strong. No excuses. Huh? Go ahead and type that in there. Because that will sometimes it gives us that conviction that, hey, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to write it. I'm going to see it. I'm going to realize it in my life. Finish strong. Now, the last time we talked about finishing strong, I provided you with 3 R's. I've been calling them, I guess you called it the Beatitudes, because they always ask you to be something. And the last time we were here, we talked about being resourceful, being rested, and of course, being reassuring. I won't go back into all that. If you missed it, go back and definitely see what we meant by those 3 things. That, hey, where to go, Takira? I will finish this year strong. Thank you for saying it with me. Thank you, Lady Fredericks. I will finish this year strong. I have 2 persons in the house saying, hey, listen, I'm in the same boat. I will finish this year strong. And there's something about that affirmation. In fact, that's what we were talking about the last time, being reassuring. We have to reassure ourselves, because sometimes it may not come from the principal. It may not come from our colleague. It may not even come from our family members. We have to do it for ourselves. So what I want to share with you today, 3 more R's that I want you to add to your repertoire to help you to finish this year strong. All right. There's only a few more weeks left, but we still want to finish it strong. All right. So here's what I want to share with you today. And it's a big one. In addition to being resourceful, being rested, and being reassuring, I want to challenge you to be reflecting. Be reflecting. Y'all know I love the alliteration, so we're staying with the R's, okay? Yeah, the R, the three, they call it the R, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. No, this is a different R today. I want you to be reflecting, and by that I want you to start thinking back over the school year. Thinking back over the school year. In fact, just this semester alone, this term alone, is a lot to think about because there had to have been a lot of changes put in place. Now, how do you think back? How do you reflect? See, because when you reflect, you're developing a keener sense of gratitude too. Think about it. Sometimes we do not realize how much we have done and how far we have come until we reflect. Oh yeah, I did do that, eh? Well, muddles. How did I get over this? How did I do that? You will be, I challenge you to do it tonight. Think about it, because a lot of times we're so hard on ourselves. We're saying, oh, I didn't get to do this. Oh, I didn't get to do that. But when you really think back, you'll be like, wow, I've done some things. And that's when you got to be so grateful that you made it through. Pat yourself on the back even, you know. You get a sense of gratitude. And you know what else you'll develop when you begin to reflect? A sense of hope. Oh, yeah, a sense of hope that, hey, listen, I started here and I'm here. You know, we had the song, you started at the bottom, now we're here. Yeah, listen, if you, wherever you start, you'll see right now by reflecting that you're here now. That means you moved. So begin reflecting. Now, you can start by asking yourself, when you're reflecting, start by asking yourself questions like, what went extremely well this year? Now, we always like to talk about what went wrong. That's the first place we go. But think about what went well. What actually, when you think about it, put a smile on your face. It could be a lesson that just went over very well. It could be a tool you developed and you realize, hey, listen, this saved me a lot of time. You know, it could be a strategy. It could be maybe you did something different, like you decided you're going to mark your creative writing exams first, hello, before everything else, and it made a difference for you. What went well? All right. When you think about it, whatever this is that went well, it makes you feel, you know, full of joy, even feel pride, you know, in what you've accomplished and what you've done. All right. Think about it. Always ask yourself what went well. What is the happiest? Think about it. What's the happiest experience or moment just this term alone? I know the year goes back all the way to January, but think about it. Think about just the past few months. And I really want you to ask yourself, what went well? Think of that moment. Yeah. And then when you do that, turn the table of reflection and ask yourself, what was my greatest struggle? What really took me for a loop? Now, I know for a lot of us, it probably would be the technology. What you say? Listen to me. When I heard that the classes at UB were also going to be virtual, I'm like, hello now, somebody. I got to get on top of my game. And I was kind of comfortable with Zoom and everything, but we had to use a special learning management system called Moodle. And of course, I could finagle, but I needed to get better, you know, and having to have several classes, being able to maneuver online. So I'm like, that was a bit of a struggle for me. So think about it. What was a struggle? Perhaps even what was a disappointment? Maybe the way you handle a student, you really wish you'd handle it better. Maybe you blew your top at a time when you really should have stayed calm. Maybe, you know, it could be that you got some things in late too many times and you really need to improve on that. You know, maybe your documentation, your report card comments writing, whatever it might be, it just wasn't on key. What is it that you struggled with? Think about it. Think about it long and hard. What made you go, I wish I had done that better? You know, now how do you want that to be differently for this coming year? That's what we want to do. Begin to reflect. Listen here, you don't know how powerful reflection is. We talk about it all the time, and even at UB, we're training our student teachers to be what we call reflective practitioners, because you have to learn to reflect. Reflection is one of the most, in fact, a gentleman by the name of Richard Carlson, I had to write it down to make sure I didn't forget. He says reflection is one of the most underused yet powerful tools for success. Seriously, it's a serious thing. Imagine. Now, I'm not talking about worrying now. Don't mix it up now, because you know some of us could worry. You know, we thinking about it, and the more we think about it, we feel bad. Oh Lord, why that happened? Oh, no. I'm asking you to reflect probably jot it down so you can get it out your head and think of how it could be done differently. All right. So don't just reflect, but reflect in terms of seeing how it could be improved. All right. So we want to be more reflective. In fact, you know what? The more reflective you are, the more effective you are. All right. So if you want to be more effective, you have to be more reflective. I'm dealing with a business coach right now, and one of the things she constantly says to us is you have to always go at the end of every week. She's coming back to us and she's saying, because she's one of our coaches, and she's saying, what went well? What do you need to work on? We're always every week. Can you imagine how better we would be as educators if we did this every week? We should be it. We really should be. Think about it. All right. So let's be reflective. We don't learn by doing, by the way. We learn by reflecting on what we're doing. That's important. Sometimes we say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," but when we reflect on it, that's when the learning take place. So the first R I shared with you is be reflecting. The second thing I want to share with you is be redeeming. What I mean by redeeming? You'll hear them say, "Redeem the time." Redeem the time. How can you reclaim your time? How do we do that? A lot of us, we reclaim our time by planning ahead. What do we have to anticipate? This is coming close to the end of the term. Now, that, there are a lot of things that you have to get done in preparation for the end of the term. How could you redeem the time? Now, if we were in the classroom, we would have to use our time wisely because we have to maneuver with the students. And at the same time, we're trying to make sure that we get them ready for the test. What could we give them that we can double dip? Even while they're on the virtual platform, what could you do to redeem the time so that when they're with you, they're preparing for their final exams if they're not taking them as yet, but at the same time, you perhaps working on ensuring all your grades are in. So perhaps whatever you are working on that you're giving them as a review, it can also be something you can use to get that missing grade. Or perhaps a student missed something. Rather than trying to get them to dig back over through all their things to find it to give to you, maybe you could just put in another assignment. See, you have to work smarter, not harder. This is all about working smarter. When I was in the classroom, I had a little chart up on my wall called the Daily Dozen. Maybe it's something we can put in the virtual classroom as well. The Daily Dozen were 12 things listed that the students can do. And I said, what to do when you think you're done. When you think you're done. And every time the students got finished with whatever work was involved in that lesson, they go back to the chart and they say, okay, what can I do here? Because I wanted to make sure they were redeeming the time. That means you make every minute count and work smarter. And that's what I mean by redeeming the time. Make every minute count and work smarter, not harder. All right? So we want to redeem, and we only can do that by reclaiming our time, regaining more time, and rescuing ourselves by doing things smarter. The last R I want to share with you. Yes, we're reflecting. Yes, we're redeeming. But breathe out, because the last thing I want you to do is be releasing. Be releasing. Yep. Here's where you learn a lot. You have to let some things go. Let me tell you what was hard for me being in the classroom. Getting to the end of the semester, in fact, the end of the school year, and I see the chart in the back of my desk that really should have been up on the bulletin board. I never finished it. I see students' work that I wanted to put on display. Never got it there. And I started to feel so bad, so guilty. Oh man, I was really supposed to do this. And you go through your lesson plan and sometimes you'd be like, oh man, I didn't. Oh, you gotta let it go. Let it go. I'm not thinking about that anymore. You got to, because if you don't let it go, you will find yourself weighted down. And guess what? You won't make any more progress. So you got to figure out now, you know what things I just got to just count it a loss kind of thing. Or count it, hey, listen, maybe next semester, maybe next term, maybe I'll get it done then. You got to be releasing. And sometimes, you know what? Sometimes we need to release that person who did us wrong. Yeah, yeah, I'm talking to you. Don't log off. Sometimes that's the releasing. Someone mash your corn. Someone rub you the wrong way. You need to release that. Because guess what? That whole thing about forgiveness, we always think it's for other people. It's for us, So be releasing in that way too. Let the things go, man. Because sometimes what we're holding on to is not worth it. Yeah, ouch is right. It's not worth it. All right? For your own peace, your own sanity, and your own progress, let it go. Be releasing. So don't slow down now. Keep it moving so that you can finish strong. Starting strong is good, but finishing strong is epic. Oh yeah. Anybody can start a good race. Oh yeah, they looking good. You know, they're ready at the start line. Everyone fixing their clothes and this and the next thing, and they look good. Stretch and boom, that gun goes off and everyone running real good. Halfway through, and you're stepping on the side and you're holding your waist. Listen, we can start a good start, but it's nothing like finishing. It's nothing like saying, oh yeah, I made it through. That's epic. So I want to challenge you, if you haven't started yet, to be reflecting. Start thinking back over this year, over this particular term. Of course, I want you to be redeeming. How could you work smarter and not harder? Be releasing. Let it go. Let go what wasn't accomplished. Let go what things that may have gotten you a little frustrated and upset. Let it go. Do all of these Beatitudes, adopt them so you can finish strong. If you want to get a special tool that I've created to help teachers reflect, in fact, I've done just a one-page reflection tool that I've created, and this has a little graphic because, you know, us teachers, we like to have things visual. I created it just for myself, but it was so helpful just to get it on paper. I said, you know what, let me make this available. If that's you, my sister's already posted it in this chat, on the page actually, and it's charmainmiller.com/poetry to paragraph. If you are already I've already done that, and you're part of what I call the tribe, in that you allow me every week graciously to come into your inbox or via email, you already have it. In fact, I sent it to you today ahead of this because that's how special you are to me. But if you're not receiving my emails as yet, then go ahead to charmainmiller.com/poetry.paragraph, and you will connect. In fact, that link will give you another special freebie that I always like to give as your welcome gift to you. You're gonna love it, all right? And once you've done that, you can go ahead and request for me to send you that particular resource on the reflection tool. All right? Well, that's all I want to share with you for this evening. Until next time, I want you to keep learning and growing, because what we learn becomes a part of who we are. And like Einstein said, once we stop learning, we start dying. So never stop learning, because life, as you know, never, and I mean never, stops teaching. Until next time, to your success. Have a good evening.